clock is 17:15. It's Saturday the 27th July. It's a Saturday today, and now I have a lot of experience with the dragonflies and butterflies. I don't know about that is common for every man to have the experience that I have experienced. When I was a child, I very much admire dragonfly. I remember I have a net, and I was out and on a hunt because I want to study the dragonfly, because I find it so pretty and so colorful, and just in the way it was flying. This movement, I very much love this kind of robotic movement where it was standing still in the air. I definitely think that military have admired that kind of species too, to lead them to create maybe something like a helicopter that we know today, a chopper. Sorry, not a helicopter, a chopper. But when I have seen some places, there was actually a place where I had some from my family that was sitting a lot in that place. I was actually sitting there, and there was this woman next to me, and she have a child with her, maybe 2 years old or something, I don't know how old. But I was sitting there, and in that while I was sitting there with my folded hands on my chest, then suddenly this dragonfly was landing on my hands, sitting there on my chest. And to have the possibility to sit so close to a dragonfly that's actually sitting on your hands, it's just making you wonder a little bit. Because then you can definitely see how beautiful it really is, and why shouldn't you admire an animal like that? If you look on the animal kingdom, I will definitely say that a dragonfly is a king in that. Yeah, I will definitely say it's a kind of a king. It's a king in the air. Maybe it's not so big to our luck, because if it was, yeah, I think definitely we would have been hunted. But I think that that's kind of a miracle. I find that as a miracle, that when a dragonfly choose to sit on your hands. That's the small things in life that I admire as a miracle. Because how often does that happen in your life? I don't know about you have tried that out there. If not, yeah, I will definitely say that it's worth to try if you are not getting scared and pushing it away, but just sit there and admire how it's built, and you definitely wonder who have created an animal like that if you look on how we look. And of course, what to be human is maybe the stage before a butterfly becomes to a butterfly. Because we are soft. So of course you admire something like that. It nearly seems like it could live forever when you look at it. It's like built to last. That's just the way I look at it. But of course, if humanity was becoming like that, a kind of a bug like that, we would not be humans anymore. What we would be, I don't know. Some would maybe say that we will be robots or insects, but it's more not compared to insect than a robot. But of course, we are dying, so I definitely think we maybe would last longer if we evolve when we have lived in hundreds of years. Then we could maybe change. It could be nice, maybe, to something else, and then have a new kind of life. I don't know about you, admire a dragonfly. See, it was not the first time, but it was kind of a reminder of my childhood when it was sitting on my hands. Because I caught actually a dragonfly when I was a little child. I think I was 6. Yeah, it have a very bad ending for the dragonfly actually. Yeah, but that's how it is to be a child. You very fast concentrate about something else. Let's say that. And let me say, when I see the dragonfly again, yeah, I was getting a little bit sad over I have forgot it. Yeah. But see, then it sits on my hands, and I have tried to catch the best pictures of a dragonfly. Now it's possible that we get so good cameras in our phones today. But funny enough, many times when this is happening for me, I never have my phone on me. So I never catch this perfect moment. Like when your pointing finger is reaching something else. Because that's actually how I experience and see it. It's touching something that have a distance that we cannot touch every day, only if we hunting it. But to be touched without hunting it, I find it's magic. Later on, I find out that you can go down to the lake, and there's a lot of tiny dragonflies out on the lake, sitting on the yeah, what do we call that on English? But it's big grass growing out in the lake, and you can always see those tiny dragonflies sitting on those leaves. So you have a big moment to catching some good pictures or something else. If you just go down to the lake, you can see them sit there. I don't know about it's only in the start of the summer or it's all year. But I actually sit down at the lake, and that was in the start of the summer. I think it was it April or the month after maybe? It doesn't matter. But then I have this tiny dragonfly, and I was not. There was some meters to the lake, and once again, tiny dragonflies was flying over to me and sitting on my hands. See, once again, you are being reminded of the first time when a dragonfly sits on your hands. But that wasn't even not near a lake. Yes, it was near a lake, but there was some distance to that lake. And it was a big one, big dragonfly first time. This was a tiny little blue one. And once again, I have the possibility to sit and admire this being. And then, funny enough, there was some chaos with some people I know, and I was sitting down in Lyngby. That was actually near the church in Lyngby, where you can park in your car. There's this you can sit on outside. What do you call that? But they put it somewhere so people can sit down. There's a hair cutter on the corner, and the cars is driving around without no light right there. So I was sitting there, and I hold my hand. That was my right hand. I hold it out like that. Like Jesus Christ hanging on the cross, holding my hand out like that. And then suddenly a big blue dragonfly fly over and sits on my hand. And was a big one. And once again I could sit there and just admiring this being. This robotic body it have, and this robotic movement. Just like a cyborg, actually a living cyborg. You could actually comparing it with a living cyborg if you should look on how the bio is creating it. It's nearly kind of a biomechanic. If you look at it actually, it's even moving kind of mechanic. And of course it have inspired military to trying to see about they could duplicate it to a mechanic aircraft. Of course. But now that you have followed my shit, I think definitely now that you believe that my experience with dragonflies is true, and because of my videos with butterflies where I live, that you can see how it's there's like a kind of a contact. If you see that in the video and you study it, it's a kind of like a contact, because when you see it flying over to me, because I try to make a movement to it right there, it's like in that moment there's kind of a contact with the butterfly. Something is affecting it to circle around me, and you can see that. And you should nearly think it was intelligent, because the first movement I make to the butterfly, that was to trying to make it sit on my finger when it was sitting still. And it was like it's understood that I was trying to make it come over on my finger. And I was not afraid to it. Because as you see, right after, it's choosing to sit on me. And you can even see that it circle around me. And not only that, it's actually sitting first on my body. I did not notice it was sitting down there. So, and for me, it's like a miracle. That's tiny miracles in everyday life. Maybe something other people don't appreciate, and it's very fast forgetting and keeping on their life. Instead of trying to hang a little bit in that moment and try to perceive the world out from your mind, the state of mind you have in that moment. Because maybe you can duplicate it, and maybe you are lucky and it can happen for you again. And you can experience miracles again. And you have kind of a contact, even if it seems that it could not be possible, because how can a bug be intelligent? When you just walk every day in your everyday life, you noticed one thing too, that bugs and birds and things like that can fly is very fast to react when you are near. It's so fucking difficult to come close to animals without food. And you know that's a fact, that they always fly away before you near them. You can nearly not near them more than 1 meter, then they fly away from you. The same with a butterfly, actually. It's flying away from you. It's like there's like you have this magnet field around you that animals actually can feel, and when you are near, they can actually feel that you are too close. Sometimes I perceive it like that. That's actually like that. But now that I have sit and I have, of course, I studied a little bit. I like to take pictures of it. I have some plans about it. So now that they can gene manipulate a lot of things in this world, and you know that's a fact. You have seen all this cross breeding with big animals like lions and tigers, and that's just an example of some of the crossbreeding they have made. But of course, in the other kingdom, the other animal kingdom, like what I've just talked about, of course, there's kind of a danger to begin to touch that. But still, I'm thinking it's not at all in the same category. But from my point of view, that's exactly why it could be exciting to see a cross breeding between a dragonfly and a butterfly. Try to imagine it. Of course, you don't know what you get. Maybe you will get, if you make more than one cross breeding, maybe you will get kind of different kinds in the crossbreeding, it will maybe not fall out like the same every time you make it. So maybe you will get totally different if you do it with more than one, and they are not in family with each other. You just catch something like that. Actually, you don't know what you get at all out of it, because if you first begin to crossbreeding it, you have the dragonfly is like appearing from the water. You know that a butterfly lives on the leaves. But try to imagine if you crossbreeding it, what would you get? Before it becomes a dragonfly and a butterfly. Would it live in leaves, or would it live in water? Or would it have the possibility to do both? What would it live off when it fold out? What kind of being would it be? Would it hunt? Would it live out of flowers? Would it do both? Meat and flowers? How would it look? Would it be as beautiful as a butterfly and a dragonfly? Would it have wings in between? Would you could look through it and then still have a pattern like a butterfly? When you first begin to think like this, you of course you wonder, what if they someday could make it in a lab? And if they have not thought at it at all, yeah, I hope I could lead to some inspiration to some people who's working with it. And I hope if they someday do it, I hope they will invite me in so I can see my idea come to reality. You never know how, when you begin to crossbreeding, they say that's dangerous, and it is, because you don't know what you get out of it. You get whole new blood out of it. It's not stable, like it already is with the dragonfly and butterfly. It have become a species. When it have become a species, it's stable. When you begin to crossbreeding it, it's not stable any longer, and you will get something that's out of control until it become a species. That means after generations. And then you will have a species that will breed with its own kind. But if you're crossbreeding first and you let it loose, it will not have a place, and you don't know about it will interfering with other species, with dragonflies and butterflies. And of course, you don't know either about, when you begin to crossbreeding this, that how fast, no, how much it will grow, because it's new blood you have, and it will maybe evolve in a stage that we could not imagine. That means it will maybe be not so tiny as a butterfly and dragonfly. Maybe it will be much bigger. Maybe it will evolve a next stage and become more than just a butterfly or dragonfly. We can call it a dragon butterfly. But of course, if you keep it in a lab and study it and study how it will evolve, and you keep on evolving it in a lab in such a way that someday it will become stable, and you will have a new species you have not seen in nature. And for the human eye to observe a new species in nature is just something more beautiful to perceive. No, sorry. Yeah, perceive in an experience, if you can see it like that. For religious people, I think that, yeah, maybe they have some opinions about this. But if you take some of the first chapters in the Bible, just an example, because the first one, I think it's in all religion actually how it stands like that we can manipulate the nature as we like. So it's not something bad. It's not a bad idea. It maybe serve another purpose. Because when you take a butterfly, the beauty about a butterfly is how slowly it is. Like it's like a UFO that's landing on your hands. It's like quiet down. And it goes to there in the same way, It can be fast, of course. But that's why we see a butterfly differently, because we don't see no harm in it, and we know it's living out of flowers, so it's good for the nature. I will say it's good. It's good for the nature. So we love butterflies, doesn't we? We find it beautiful. There's something over it, some magical, like in some fantasy. There's something otherworldly about a butterfly, and it seems so harmless. But when you take a dragonfly, we're admiring it. We're admiring it for its possibility of ruling in the air. Its way of hunting in the air. We very much admire that one. It's I think if you could fly, you would fly like one like that. If you should choose between a butterfly or a dragonfly, it would be very difficult, wouldn't it? Because something butterfly is more like magical in some way, like harmless in a way, like peace and love, When you take the dragonfly, it's more like something from the underground, like it's like the coolest car you see, that can drive very fast with a big motor in it, And the other car is like good for the nature, it's not polluting and so on and so on, But to mix those two, try to imagine what would you get out of it? Are you not curious at it out there? Just a little bit. What if it was possible to do it? How would should the egg down in water? Should it be on ground? How would you breathing it to be a success? Would it have a shorter body than a dragonfly, but longer than a butterfly? Would the wings be a little bit longer than a butterfly, but larger like a butterfly? Would it be, could you look through the wings, but with a kind of like a pattern like a butterfly and a little bit color on it? Or would it be totally different in our imagination? Would it grow so large that we could not even comparing it to a dragonfly or butterfly in between? What if we could make this species, what if suddenly that it was becoming a companionship to when we make our groceries for the farmers? What if we could kind of breathe in a new dragonfly that we could put on the field, that it don't have to come from the water, and it would hunt everything on that field. Or maybe we should have some kind of water places with, yeah, I don't know. It's just to imagine. Are you not a little bit curious? Now they can maybe make a whole new movie. It could be, the movie could be the scientist in the movie. It could turn out to a horror movie. They could maybe even make a movie where it could turn out like a good thing. I actually think it would work in a movie. The idea behind it. Maybe it would turn out both a horror and a success. Yeah, I have it like this with all this, It's very exciting. I find it exciting. Sometimes I think on a zoo, we have a zoo in Copenhagen with animals from all over the world. It's a good idea to have a zoo like that if they are going to be extinct other places, then we always have them in the zoo. So there's some good about a zoo, and of course, the progress to the zoo is a bad thing if they are not dying, all of them. So a zoo can be good to preserving it if the changing on Earth is changing so much that the habit places will wipe out those kind of animals. But sometimes I think too, because I think there would be more success, no, not more, but the same success in another kind of zoo. A zoo of imagination. A zoo where we put animals like a lion and a tiger in it and have a crossbreeding, to breeding new kind of species in a new zoo that we actually earn money on from the population that like to go in there and watching it. Just like the other zoo. A place where we are crossbreeding animals in hope, of course, that is safe what we are making, with some very good security. Then of course you are thinking on Jurassic Park. There could be extinct animals in that kind of zoo too. But of course, the animal they create shall of course be stable. But the idea is funny. The idea is funny and good. To have a passion for that. The religion will always say that we shall not play God. I just think that is a way of not falling back into the past. That's why we have religion today, to prevent us to fall back to the past. That's why we have all these rules. That's why they don't learn us about it in school. But of course, it's how you choose to believe what God is. And we are playing God every day. Every day. Fulfilling His work. And I think that's what it's all about. If it's not all about that, then try to imagine that we have evolved so much today that we have reached a distance from what we once was. So how can we allow ourselves to actually to live today when we have changed so much from the earlier man? If we believe so much in God, then we should believe on the earlier man in earlier times. They have become extinct. And then we could not believe in ourselves today because we are not the product of that vision, if you understand what I say. Then our vision today should create earlier man today if we have so much belief in God. So, I definitely think we should perceive ourselves and the way we look and everything a little bit different, because we have changed so much since earlier man, if we shall believe what they are telling us. This is my vision a little bit about curiosity. Maybe you get curious too about a dragon butterfly. I'm very much curious. And I hope that someday I could be invited into a lab to see if they realize the dream and the vision of a curious quest And of course, if it's a bad idea, yeah, you can just destroy it again. I think that you can do that. Yes, I will say thanks for now. Just a little bit fantasy ideas to yeah, something new. Now they are feeding us today with all kind of new things, all that tech. That's definitely new. Yeah, good day, good Saturday. Bye.